UK. I'm Jonathan Honig from capitalistpig.com. Delighted you're joining us for this new series when we sit down with Frank and casual conversation with someone within the objectivist community doing great things, innovating, pushing him or herself forward, and get to know him or her a little bit better. So today we have Linda Cordair from Cordair Galleries with us. So much to talk about, Linda, starting with art and politics and everything else. And if I'm also correct, you are going to be at the Irreplaceable Spark Conference coming up a little bit later in October.
I am. I'm excited. Hello, it's great to be here. I've got a few hats that I'm wearing at the conference, but primarily speaker and coach, and then a few surprises.
Well, you're surrounded, you're obviously at your gallery, you're surrounded by all the artwork. One of Rand's quotes from the Romantic Manifesto, and that was her book on art. Most people don't even associate Ayn Rand with artwork at all. She had a lot to say about it. She said that the basic purpose of art is not to teach, but to show, to hold up to man a concretized image of his nature and his place in the universe. So what is the purpose, the role of art in man's life in your estimation?
I think it's a way to help us live our best lives, to be surrounded with positivity and beauty, life as it can and should be, is something that we should all be doing. And without that, we're really missing out. We are missing out on some amazing opportunities to live our best lives.
Well, funny, because art and subjectivism seem to go together hand in hand. I mean, is art in effect whatever someone says it is? I mean, when the gentleman famously duct taped the banana to the wall at the art show and that piece sold for millions and millions of dollars. I mean, what makes art art? Does it have to, for example, be representational? I believe I remember Miss Rand saying it did.
So her definition of art is something that we live by, and that is that art, by definition, is the stylized recreation of reality based on the artist's metaphysical value judgments. And that banana did not do it, right? And it's really sad, and I get really frustrated with some of the garbage out there that gets labeled as art, when in fact, that's not art. There are even things that people call art that might pass as decor, but it's not art. And the amount of time and effort that our artists, and we're very specific about the artists that we curate here at Cordair Fine Art for their skill levels, their talent, their vision, what they portray. All of those things are very important, because when someone walks into our gallery, we want them to have that consistent, uplifting experience that they're not going to get in other galleries. And we've been known for that for almost 30 years.
When did you first get into, I know you've been in the art world for a long time. When did you first become introduced to objectivism in Ayn Rand?
So I was introduced when I started dating an old high school friend, and he put a copy of The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged, and Anthem in my hand, gave me a recommended order of reading. And that was the beginning of an amazing journey in living my best life, living the way I wanted to live, not living by someone else's rules. And I eventually married him, and here we are.
That is the aforementioned Quent, who is not only, I know, your co-partner in the gallery, but also a writer and an artist himself.
And both amazing. He's truly a Renaissance man. He's about to release part 3 of his novel series. We're very excited about. We call him back of the house, and I'm front of the house. So if you come into the physical gallery, chances are I'm the person you're going to see, because he's at home busy writing. He does paint as well, and he was painting to support his writing habit back in the day. And we're very fortunate to have had him create so many beautiful stories, poems, the novel itself, and then to champion what you see behind me and on our website.
You mentioned a positivity about art, or I don't want to put words in your mouth. Rand wrote that art is a barometer of the culture. It reflects the sum of a society's deepest philosophical values, not its professed notions and slogans, but its actual view of man in existence. Given that, what do you, when you look at today's contemporary art world, and it's a world that I really know not much about, but what is today, what is that barometer telling us today, if Miss Rand was right?
Well, she was always right. I haven't found her to be wrong yet, but the barometer, as it would be, we get to experience in here when people walk into the gallery and they've truly never seen anything like this before, because what's being represented out there is, and it's really hard to put one adjective to it, but pieces where there are not a lot of effort, there's the quality isn't there. We're representing artists whose work has been displayed in the Louvre in Paris. They're recognized by the Art Renewal Center. These are people who are so dedicated to what they're doing and what they're creating that they can be proud of it, not something that they've slapped together because there was a public call for art and somebody twisted some pieces of metal and wire together and put a hat on it and called it art. So yes, unfortunately, the barometer that we are seeing out there and what people are looking for or defending, what people are defending is art. Well, it's art because I say it's art. Well, right. That's just not the case.
I'm going to spring this on you. I picked out 3 images I'm going to share, and the first 3 are actually from your website. Let's see if I can go ahead and share this. You can see that?
Nope, not yet. Oh, there she is, or there they are, I should say. That is Harmony by Carl Jensen.
And to your point about inspiring a feeling, I mean, and I know you had previously posted some examples of people posing next to your artwork. A little girl, for example, posing next to that wonderful sculpture of a little girl. So is that part of it that has to, in effect, kind of portray a optimism, valid and an optimistic sense of life?
Well, you would hope at the very essence, at your core, that you want to be happy, that you want to surround yourself with beautiful things. You want to eat the things that you love the most. You want to be with the people that make you happy. So essentially, being able to come home to a work of art that you want to see every day, that you look forward to, because it takes you to a special place. That particular piece, I can't imagine looking at that and not having just this warm, fuzzy feeling. And yet there's a banana taped on a wall somewhere, as you mentioned before, that I don't get any warm, fuzzy feelings, and I don't know who does except the guy who made the money.
Well, I inadvertently clicked off that link, so I'm going to spare you the rest of those images. But I was going to contrast that with, image of a photo or image of an artwork that was on so many kids' college walls when I was a kid, and that is a Jackson Pollock splatter paint type image of just a seemingly haphazard paint slapped at the wall with no representation that you could decipher really of anything. It's like you could squint and I guess maybe you could see, I don't know, a constellation or something, but those figures that we previously had up, of those, the movement of the body, the representation of the body, the precision you need to have, the skill you have to pull that off, versus Jackson Pollock just literally throwing paint at a canvas and saying it's art.
Well, a lot of that, in my opinion, was due to the very good salespeople who said, this person did this, therefore it's valuable and you should love it and you should spend all of this money on it, when in fact it doesn't represent anything at all. And a lot of it's very dark. And it, they can tell you it takes however long it takes, but we've also seen evidence of, elephants splattering paint on a canvas and somebody calling that art. It's non-committal, right? So there's no commitment to a theme, to a story, to anything that celebrates life. And it became very easy, I think, for even big corporations to say, well, we can't put that figurative piece up because it might offend somebody. These squiggles and blobs or this garbage is not going to offend anybody. Well, they're wrong. It does. I'm very offended sometimes, even in a hotel room, some of the things that they put in there that I would rather not see.
I mean, to your point earlier, I mean, oftentimes I think what is described as art is simply a decor. Now, maybe it's a nice pattern that has been replicated that is just printed on a canvas that covers up a bit of a wall. But, I don't think I'm putting words in Miss Rand's mouth when I say in life, art serves much more of a purpose than just something that looks good aesthetically, that's aesthetically appealing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, real art should do just that. It should touch you. It should make you want to go in that room or make you look forward to looking up from your book or your computer and seeing something that's truly life affirming. I have had people walk in and say, and this is a direct quote, I just bought a couch. Do you have anything blue? So while yes, I have some things that have blue in them, this might not be what you're looking for. And there are places for that. But if what you're truly looking for is a very personal experience, we're matchmakers. We're finding pieces of art for people that reflects their values and does it for them. It just absolutely, I've had people weep in front of art pieces. The only reason I would cry in front of the banana is just because it's so terrible.
Do you think, let me ask you, when going through a gallery or museum, I heard on Dr. Brooks' podcast a few months ago, he said something like to the effect that he felt as if it was okay and to walk fairly briskly by the artwork. And that if there was nothing that in effect caught your eye, I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth, he felt as if you didn't have to sit and necessarily study each piece for too long. What say you on that? I mean, how do you tackle a museum when you go to see a new museum for the first time?
Often with blinders, on the side so that I can get past the things that I don't want to see so that I have time to spend with the pieces that move me. And, it's not unusual to see if you just watch people walk around a museum, some pieces will stop them in their tracks
Mm-hmm.
and other pieces just get brushed by. And I'm very guilty of that. I mean, you only have so many hours in the day. So, if you're at a big museum, how are you going to spend your time? Hopefully you've done a little research and you know what you're looking for. So when we curate a collection, I do it in such a way that people are coming in and they have an opportunity not just to enjoy the pieces they want or they think they want to see, but hopefully discover something different. I don't have every artist completely together. You might be looking at some beautiful local Wyoming landscapes with the gorgeous fall foliage right now. And next to that, there might be a gorgeous nude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, there's the when I look at your body, when I look at not your body, when I look at your website, I should say, and I see all the incredible sculptures out there and the representations of these bodies, and they're not all muscular beefcakes, and they're not all tiny stick figure women either. Well, I guess you'd consider modern, contemporary representations of what beauty is supposed to be. But these sculptures, and I know Dr. Brooke does have an affinity for sculpture as well. The curves of their bodies and the sensuousness of the sculpture itself is really something that is almost can't be represented unless you see it in real life.
Well, and they're healthy bodies. There's a new sculpture on Times Square, New York, that was erected when I was there, and again, not my cup of tea, and it's very controversial because of the shape of the person. It has nothing to do with the color of their skin. It's truly their shape. And the artists here to take, well, one of the things that Rand said was stylized recreation of reality. So in the Romantic Manifesto, she talks about if a painter is creating a portrait and it's a beautiful woman, but she has a big hairy mole on her face, is the
Right.
painter going to include that? These bodies are stylized. The art is stylized. It's perfected. It's illustrating how wonderful life is and should be and can be if you allow it.
I remember that point and thinking about what would it say about the type of artist who wouldn't want to put the mole in, insist to put the mole in, to ruin the beauty or the perfection or the stylized idealism of what he would have created. So, Romantic Manifesto, I'm sure you recommend it. For people who say they know all about Ayn Rand, I say, my guess is you probably don't, because she had so much to say about our work. And, I know, Linda, you represent that so much, not just in your gallery, but we're coming up, I guess, on 5 years now. You and your husband became somewhat of folk heroes. You were at the center of a major scam. I shouldn't say scam, but a scandal surrounding COVID and COVID lockdowns. What
Indeed, we
happened?
were. Well, 6 weeks into the lockdown, over the 30-day limit that the government might have had to keep people locked in, Quint asked me to basically read this wonderful document that he wrote that was it was our Declaration of Independence, if you will, and it was us telling the state of California, the city of Napa, and the county of Napa that we weren't going to put up with it anymore, that we had every right to be open, as they uh, misused the word essential, and they personally were deciding who was essential, and we knew that we were essential, and we were being told we couldn't open our business, we couldn't support our 32 artists or ourselves, and we obviously disagreed with that. And to a lot of bad reactions from people all over, we opened our doors, but we did get an enormous amount of support because we were right. We received death threats. We were being threatened to go in jail. We were going to be arrested. There were fines,
Right.
all kinds of things.
They wanted everyone closed. That government wanted to shut down every business. And as you said, they were going to make the list of who is essential and who is not. And
Yeah, it
along
was fine for
come,
the candy store. The candy store 3 doors down could be open, but we had 3,000 square feet and could social distance with the best of them. They had actually put us in California, had 3 phases. And phase 3 was churches, sports stadiums, museums, and art galleries. We weren't even with regular retail. The whole thing was such a mess. It was so arbitrary that we felt very firmly somebody has to stand up. Someone has to say, enough. This is not okay. This is not constitutional. This is not moral to do this to people. And it was scary at times. We learned a lot about people who we thought supported us who didn't, and then the people who came out of the woodwork who supported us in ways we couldn't have imagined, who were just absolutely thrilled that someone stood up. We had no idea that it would blow up the way it did. We were
well,
doing it right to
and
open our
how many
business.
and how many people I would think that you inspired other small businesses to take a stand. And Miss Rand called objectivism a philosophy for living on Earth. And knowing what the little you've told our audience and that I know about what you went through during COVID, you were really using this philosophy, using what you knew to be right, knew to be moral, to act in the world. And as you said, in the end of the day, you were proven right.
Well, and we actually Quint coined a phrase that became kind of synonymous in our circles, and it became a hashtag, and it was "not dying is not living."
Hmm.
And we even did T-shirts with that on there to try to help people understand not dying is not living. And it made a huge impact. It was amazing to us to watch, and we all watched people who closed themselves off at home because they had to. And if they felt for their own personal health reasons, then absolutely, I completely support that. But to have the government tell you that you are not allowed to run your business, to support yourself. We did have some other businesses that kind of jumped in behind us, and that was super exciting. And then we had some of them do that who were then additionally threatened to close their businesses. And we kept being told, you need to close. We did close for maybe a half a day because things were getting a little dicey with law enforcement. And we regrouped and we reopened our doors and we never closed them again.
Really took tremendous amounts of bravery, especially at a time, and courage, especially at a time when, what was the accusation? I'm sure, I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure you heard is you're being selfish. How
Oh, absolutely.
selfish, how selfish are you, out there opening a business that people have a right to, frequent or not, come into or not? How selfish are you?
Oh, we were very selfish. And, I would do it again, despite everything. We were called killers. People were saying that we were creating more of a problem by opening our doors. There were so many ridiculous statements that were made about us, to us, but we're a team. And we stood up together, and we stood up for what we absolutely knew was right. And we were right. And now, years and years later, people are saying, oh, well, maybe we could have done that too. And for those who did, thank you. Bravo. I'm glad you're still in business. But there were a lot of businesses that never survived COVID.
Did the pandemic, from your perspective as a dealer and someone who's in contact with all these artists, did the pandemic inspire new types of artwork or new perspectives on artwork? Are you starting to see artists who perhaps were affected at all by the pandemic and some of those themes come out in their work?
I think that's really hard to measure because I'm so entrenched with the 30 artists that we have now
Yeah.
and supporting who they are, the stories that they want to tell, keeping them motivated and excited and enjoying what they love to do so much. If anything, the lack of sales during that time, during times of uncertainty, it's pretty common when the world is all kind of in an upheaval. People tend to spend less on things that aren't rent and insurance and food and such. But for the artists to try to keep them motivated and say, it's not you, your work is amazing. Everybody else is just trying to deal with what's going on in the world right now. We're doing a lot of that for the last 5 years, but they keep producing, they keep coming up with these absolutely incredible artworks, and we're doing everything we can to find homes for the art.
Well, Linda, I've always impressed with how many hats you wear in your, daily life. Everything from, social media to running a business to working with artists and being involved in that end of it. So it's part of why I'm excited that I'm going to see you coming up later in October at the it's not irrevocable spark, irresistible spark.
Irreplaceable.
Oh, right. Irreplaceable Spark Conference coming up at the end of this month. I will get it right, and I will be there as well. Tell everyone a little bit about what you're going to be speaking about, and especially when it comes to coaching, because you are one of the hardest hustlers among business people, small business people, big business people I've seen. You are a true great hustler in the best sense. So give our audience a sense of what are you going to be talking about, and how are you going to be coaching?
Well, one of the talks, my working title, and it may just stay, is Victory Over Tyranny. And that is going to be a talk that really is about what it took. The good details, the scary details, the gory details of what we did to stand up to the state, to the county, and the city and to defend our rights, and that you can do this. You can fight City Hall. There are some great stories that go along with what happened, and
did you get some financial? I hope you got some financial legal help, because in my experience, you literally cannot make a phone call to a lawyer without spending $250. So I hope that
we started with no legal help at all. It was Quint and I, our Declaration of Independence that we ended up having published in the papers. And as we started getting attention for what was going on, the president of the Marin Bar Association was a friend of an objectivist friend in Marin. And he asked if we had representation. We said no, and we weren't planning on it. And he said, well, I really think you're going to need it at this point, because nobody was doing this. This was, he saw that they were going to come after us. And he said, look, I'll take your case pro bono. So he was very good about giving us some advice, what to say, what not to say, but he still stayed in the background. And then Pacific Legal. Larry Salzman, absolutely wonderful, contacted us privately and said, I can't promise you, but I'd like to see if maybe Pacific Legal will take your case. And they did. And Anastasia Bowden was our lead counsel. She did an amazing job. And the rest is just kind of went the way it did, but counsel was very valuable.
Bonnie Bertrand, who is one of our YouTube members, and thank you, Bonnie, and thank you to all of our YouTube members. We're here 7 days a week with original programming inspired by objectivism, and we're only able to do it because of people like Bonnie and other people who hit us up on the super chat, come to the conference, the Irreplaceable Spark Conference, and support what the Ayn Rand Center UK is doing and especially here with the Sunday Spark, speaking to people like Linda. I mean, Linda Bonnie writes that there was only a handful around the country who stood up. The Cordairs were in great and rare company, and I think that's so true. At the time, everyone was being sacrificed, and there was a very, very short list of businesses that said, "I'm important, I'm essential, I'm staying open," and that's why you received. I mean, you received national coverage, national news.
We did. And again, we weren't expecting that. And that wasn't what this was about. This was about us. It was our reasons were entirely selfish. We were happy that it helped other businesses. And Bonnie, thank you so much. We still get a lot of conversations and notes that, talk about what happened and people asking questions, which is one of the reasons that I've decided that the Victory Over Tyranny talk is going to be interesting for a lot of people because there are a lot of details that nobody knows and that will probably come out in that talk. I'll also give one on art. I'll do a little coaching for people who just maybe need that little extra boost to know that, yes, you can do this, and that there are people out there, objectivists, that you can reach out to that are going to be happy to help you and say, yep, this is how I did it. And, best of luck with it. I hope it works for you.
It's a great opportunity for anyone to take advantage of. So check out the link that's in the chat right now. I have to ask you, Linda, I mean, as someone who loves art myself and is, so terrible at it.
We're going to work on that wall behind you.
Well, how does it make you feel when you see these videos of these, what they call them, Just Stop Oil Brigade, these kids, and they go up and they're videoing it and they cut through a painting, or they throw paint at a painting, or they throw paint at a sculpture, and then they stand in front of it and read out how, oil is killing the world, XYZ. But, to see artwork so trash like that, even if you didn't necessarily love the piece, I mean, I find myself when I look at that video getting just enraged at the audacity of these young twerps to tear through, what could have been hundreds and hundreds of work hours of a legitimate artist. I mean, it's just got to make your blood freaking boil.
It does. The audacity and the absolute lack of respect that some of these people show for something that doesn't belong to them, for private property, something that they have no association with. They're looking for attention. And there's a lot of things going on in the world today that are being handled and things that are happening today for people who are looking for attention. And this isn't the way to get it. If we dare touch anything of theirs, they would just lose their little squeaky minds.
Yeah.
It's just so completely blatantly disrespectful, and it's heart-wrenching.
And maybe I'm pushing a bit too much, but to think of Miss Rand's line about, hatred of the good for being the good, to go after the beautiful artwork that people come to see, come to appreciate, come to enjoy because it is beautiful, because it is popular.
I think there's jealousy there. There's certainly potential mental illness that causes people to do really horrible things like this, and it's really hard to get over the fact that people think that they can just do what they want. I mean, I know how hard our artists work. I'm married to one of them, and I take care of 29 more, and what they do is so important to them. They're not flipping burgers, and not that we don't need the burgers, but this is something that is so much bigger and deeper, that to have someone take it upon themselves to destroy something it's so frustrating. And we're going to keep encouraging people to do the right thing and be selfish and buy things you love and eat the things that you want to eat. As long as we're here, this gallery is going to be around. I mean, right now we're physically located in Jackson, Wyoming. We gave California an extra 4 years to see if they could turn things around, and we eventually got tired of that too and pulled the plug on that. And now we call Jackson, Wyoming home, and the website is where people come every day from all over the world, sometimes just to look, just to see something beautiful and positive. And a lot of people don't know that our website was the first online art gallery in the world. I haven't found a single art gallery or museum that predates Quent saying, this internet thing might work out. and he taught himself how to code, and he created an art gallery website back in the mid 90s.
Incredible. Well, people should definitely check out the websites. Definitely check out Linda and myself. We'll be at the Irreplaceable Spark Conference coming up later in October. Final outro question, Linda, as we're running low on time. Knowing the importance of our work, what's something that our viewers, our listeners could do to incorporate some art into their life every day? Something that they could get some of that benevolence, get some of that positive sense of life that Miss Rand alludes to by incorporating art into their day-to-day life. What's a way you would recommend that they do that?
Well, there's a lot of ways. I mean, first you have to know what you love. You have to know what you want to see every day. What inspires you. And, in some cases it might be the drawings that my granddaughters do that I have hung in a special place in the house. It doesn't have to be $6 million to make you happy. Finding a source, and our website and our gallery are beautiful sources of finding things that start at less than $100 and go up. Yes, if you've got $250,000 hanging around you want to spend, I can help you with that. But I also enjoy helping people start their collections by giving them tours, by talking about what they value, and finding something that is that spark that gives them that irreplaceable spark.
It's fun too, and when you own something and you realize that you've owned it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it really becomes part of your life, becomes part of your estate. So they're treasures to be treasured, and I'm so glad that you represent them. So, Lynn, any final words? We're coming up on the end of the program now, but we'll be seeing each other in October. Thank you for being with me today. Any final words for our viewers and listeners worldwide?
Be selfish. Come to the conference. It's a couple of days. They're going to be very memorable. There's a lot of things going on. The schedule continues to evolve, which is really fun. I'm looking forward to being able to spend some time with Jonathan and go to his talks. And it's going to be life-changing for some people. I know that.
Take advantage of it. And thank you for being with us for the Sunday Spark. Once again, here every Sunday, talking with the movers and shakers, if you will, in the objectivist world. People like Linda Cordair. We're so happy to have you with us. Thank you once again.
Don't let your spark go out.